Hey, welcome to my channel. So Formula One resumed again after the little hiatus, unfortunately, because of the 2 or 3 races that they had to suspend because of the factors of what's going on in Iran. So, um, you know who you can blame for that. But anyways, what the weird thing was is also the race started a little bit early because of the fact that there was going to be rain and they didn't want to delay it because like it's going to be hard to play. You know, if the rain was going to be much longer, I don't think they're going to delay to a Monday basically because that's going to be kind of hard to do, but specifically to a point where like a lot of people are out there for the races right now. So it was wise for them to actually start the race at 1:30. One of the things was though is it was an interesting race in and of itself. In the get-go, you saw the spin outs by Verstappen, which caught me off guard. I didn't think he was going to spin out like that, but he spun out when he was starting the number 2 spot too. That was a real surprise. Kimi Antonelli winning the race, of course, and that's pretty impressive. I mean, I'll be honest, Toto Wolff. You've heard me in the past. Basically, I've always thought Toto Wolff was not that great because he doesn't know how to adjust. Because I've always felt that he inherited a great team, and he just like so long as he knew how to manage it, there's no way to screw up. But once the rules changed, I was figuring that maybe Wolff was not, and you could see it, Wolff was not able to adjust. And that's why Red Bull had that string of victories from that period on, as well as McLaren. Now, the thing is basically you're going to have now Ferrari and Merc basically battling for the Constructors' Cup at this point. Don't be surprised for McLaren to get back up there after the result of both Norris and Piastri finished 2-3. So McLaren is, I think, getting back to where they were. Question is can Norris do what he normally did? Now, the sad part is Leclerc. That was sucky at the last lap how he spun out, and unfortunately, because of that, he finished sixth, one ahead of Hamilton. Hamilton, unfortunately, too. I don't know what's going on with him, Matt. Basically, it's like I thought this was probably maybe his year because he seemed to progress further with Ferrari. But the fact of the matter is like it's. I think it's the curse of Ferrari for like champions that go to Ferrari. Unless you win with Ferrari, I mean, it seems like a curse because quite honestly, fact of the matter is like when Seb went to Ferrari, he's never won it since. And now Hamilton having a win at Merck and then now going to Ferrari, he's like not doing that great either, quite honestly. The question is like how long before he can actually get regain his form? I don't know because the guy's not getting any younger. Uh, and the aspect is like Alonso. I mean, Alonso, as good as he is, as great of a driver he was in the past. I mean, honestly, right now, I think it's time for him to retire because, quite honestly, this is not his time anymore. I mean, now it's a young man's game, and like you got kids coming up left and right. Like in the teens to like early 20s. He's way beyond his skills. He way beyond at this point to the point where like I don't think he's gonna be where he's at. And the fact of the matter is like Alpine needing a boost and gaining some another investor. If that investor comes on board, maybe they, I hate to say this, but like Stroll has to go. We know Stroll is not doing anything. He's not doing any good for the team. Stroll has to go. Papa Stroll has to let him go, or to sell Alpine outright because the fact of the matter is Stroll's not a great driver. He's good, but he's not great. Not to get him like to the top basically at that point, like where Alonso was. Um, Alonso, you could tell it was a case where you thought Alonso would basically be a mentor to him, but you could tell he's not mentoring him. Because if he was mentoring him, Stroll should have progressed further. But like the reality is like that's not happening. And it's the same thing with when Schumacher and Rosberg, was basically together with Merck. Schumacher was always doing tricks here and there with Rosberg, basically to the point where like he wasn't mentoring at that point as well too. So quite honestly, I think these guys have an ego. They're not going to mentor guys. Quite honestly, it's a case where I think it's time for for both Stroll and uh, Alonso. Well, Stroll to leave and Alonso to basically retire. If Verstappen were to leave and retire, yeah, I'm not retired, but retire from F1 and go to whatever other sport, the E cars, it'd be interesting. But reality is like I think he wants that seventh title or to eighth title basically to basically surpass Lewis and be the number one at that point. Because right now Lewis is trying to beat and get past Schumacher. Now the question is like can Antonelli win this season? It's a little too early to say right now. I could say this like Mercedes. with their car, it's doing really well. Now the question is like with Antonelli, does he have the not I don't want to say the confidence, but more of the poise to maintain where he's at? Because like Oscar basically had it. Piastri had it last year, and then he just like started losing it towards the middle and end of the season, basically. So the question is like, can that be the case with essentially Antonelli? I don't know. It's possible Russell, because Russell is the closest one behind him, and Russell might get his first win as a world champion as well, too. Quite honestly, it all depends how that comes out. I would love to see Lewis win one finally, win one to get over Schumacher. It would be great, but reality is I don't think that's going to happen. Signs is showing that Williams is getting there, but not quite there. I would love to see Signs at least win one for sure. Once since he left McLaren and since he left Ferrari, I would love to see him win one at least with Williams. Basically, I just want to see Williams win one podium once. Basically, it'd be great if that can happen. Will that happen in this season? Time will only tell. Only way that happens if like there's a serious crash at the front, and then basically Signs and both Alex are able to like get through basically from that perspective. But reality is I kind of I don't know what to say or what to expect this season, because the fact of the matter is after those two the hiatus, it's kind of hard to say because Antonelli is doing really well, Mercedes is doing well. It's just a matter of can McLaren, Ferrari, as well as Red Bull's pretty much done at this point. Only Lawson's doing decent, but the real question, the thing is and Hajar, it comes down to basic Verstappen. If Verstappen can come up there and get back to where he was, because like last year, eventually he did come back. He was only a few points shy, and he could have probably possibly won it if he could string up a couple of victories towards the end, but he wasn't able to, unfortunately. So it's a possibility he could regain his form depending on how the Red Bull team adjusts. I would say this: if Stroll was to sell Alpine, if I'm Alpine, I hire Horner very quickly, because Horner is the man at this point that could probably bring him to prominence at that point. Williams probably made more sense as well too. Honestly, if I was Team Williams, get Horner as well too. Maybe bring him back to prominence at that point as well too. But reality is, as Alpine, it's a possibility that they could get him and bring him back. But because put it this way, Horner has a soft spot for drivers, but at the same time, he can recognize talent. At least he definitely can recognize talent and knows when to drive him at that point. I think he recognized Albon as being a great talent, but he just couldn't cut it with the car and engine itself. Similar to Gasly. Great driver, very raw talents, but he just didn't know how to handle the car. Perez would have made sense, but Checo, unfortunately, I don't know what happened. I guess he doesn't know how to handle the car as well, too, honestly. It's kind of a surprise that happened, but it is what it is. Honestly, if I was Red Bull, I would have signed Bottas very immediately instead of going to letting him go to Cadillac. I would have signed him immediately, but that didn't happen. But again, with the rest of the season occurring, I don't know where things are going to go, but look for Norris and Oscar to definitely compete, McLaren to compete as well too right now against Mercedes. Yeah, you're saying Ferrari, but that only depends on how Leclerc was. Leclerc seems to be always streaky nowadays. He's been streaky, whereas Hamilton was always kind of stable, but now he's kind of leaning back. It seems like Ferrari's not adjusting. I don't know why it's not, but only time will tell. I'd be surprised to see if actually Ferrari after the season, if they finish third, they get rid of the team principal, I forgot his name, and bring in Horner. That would probably make more sense, quite honestly, more than anything. But with that, I'll just leave it at that. Let me know your thoughts. Leave it in the comment section. With that, I'll leave it at that. Unfiltered, and then, of course, always unrehearsed. Until next time.